Hi, and welcome to this last installment of the Reasoning Deep Dive mini-series for AI in C# and the Microsoft Agent Framework. We have already looked at an intro, OpenAI and Google and how they do it. Now we're going to look into Anthropic and their Claude models on how they do it. So let's jump into Visual Studio and go to the reasoning effort.anthropic sample. So Anthropic, all modern models can do thinking. There's nothing special. They don't have reasoning models and non-reasoning models. All of them can do it. And in this one, I'm gonna write a little more advanced question. And the main reason for that is to show you how even the simpler questions here, it's a little more complex, can go wrong when it comes to not having any thinking. Because out of the box, Anthropic don't have any thinking with its baseline. So if I do this, and you can see the question is now, what is the capital of the country where the Eiffel Tower sits, and how is it to live there, and how many people live there? Answer back in max 3 words. So if we look at the baseline, we are again using these chat options, but that is not because we're setting anything default here, but because we always need to set this max output tokens on Claude models, which is really annoying. But again, I will later show Agent Framework Toolkit that makes it easier. But we need to set it. And for that reason, we set this up, but else we just run it and not set anything thinking. And if we do that and let it run, we'll see now it runs. And you can see it's very fast to answer back, zero reasoning. And that is because Anthropic can't report reasoning back. So this will be zero all the way through, no matter what we're reasoning. Because they simply don't report it back in their LLM calls. And we might see, oh, that's good. Out of the box, there's no reasoning. I can choose whenever I wanted to have it more advanced. But you already need to have it more advanced, because look at the answer back. It says Paris, France, expensive, vibrant, 2.2 million. It's not the 2.2, the other said 2.1, but it's not following the rules. And Anthropic is not too good at following rules in general, but it actually uses more than 3 words. So you can see there's 5 words here. So even with no thinking and a little more hard question, had I not put in the extra thing, how it is to live there and so on, this would still have used the 3 words. But this is where reasoning comes in. Because if we run this again, and this works a little like the Gemini 2.5, where we set a max allowed tokens. In this case, it's called budget tokens. So if we do that, we, next to the max tokens, also set our thinking, where we need to set some message creation parameters, set the max tokens, set the model again. So we need to set the model twice now. Then we have something called thinking config param, where we need to say it's enabled and how many tokens we allow. And the minimum is 1024. But if we do this, and let's set a breakpoint up here after it has called this, it will begin to take time. But now it can actually understand that it needs to do it in 3 words. So without reasoning, at least this very cheap model of Claude is too unintelligent in order to even follow the rules of answer back in max 3 words. But if we give it budget, meaning throw more money at it, it is possible for it to use the 3 words. And the reasoning also shows that down here it says, but they wanted back in 3 words max, but let's think about prioritize. So it already thought about it could answer in a more elaborate way, but oh yeah, it checks that's 3 words, that's 3 words, that's 3 words. Which one of them should I use, and go on and talk back and forward in order to figure that. And we see that it's reported back as just output tokens. Again, it says 0 reasoning, but it is some of these were reasoning. They just don't tell how much is reasoning, how much is not, which is annoying. But that's just the way they do things. So we can do this, and as we can see, even with such a simple question, reasoning is actually kind of needed in Anthropic, meaning it's kind of annoying that they default go to 0, because before we thought, yeah, that's nice, but if they can't even follow rules like this, we need to begin to put all this in all the time. And for that reason, again, Agent Framework Toolkit, my NuGet packages on that make it very simple. And we make an Anthropic agent, we make the agent, and we just set the budget tokens here directly. And again, we can get our reasoning content back with the extension method. So once it's thought about it, it should hopefully do the exact same. Now it went from beautiful to expensive, but fair enough, and it forgot. So even 2,000 tokens is not enough to remember to actually get back that it also needed to answer the 2.2. Again, the life of Anthropic, they're intelligent, they're good at coding, but following rules, that's not their strong suit. And yes, it comes back still as output tokens instead of reasoning tokens. So Anthropic is not my preferred choice, to be honest. Again, I really like my models to be able to follow rules, and they certainly are not good at it. Only by throwing a lot of reasoning after it, they begin to become good at it again. Which is annoying, and again, annoying to set all this up. Even if we use the Agent Framework Toolkit, we need to put in extra lines just to make it something that can actually talk. Right now, of course, I'm choosing the very small model. The Opus and Sonnet models are much more capable. So, of course, you can make an Anthropic agent tell the truth and follow rules, but it just takes more effort and more money and more time. So that is all the 3 models. If we talk a little about more of the other models, there's things like Grok. Grok uses OpenAI, but if you try to set the various reasoning efforts on them, it just throws an exception. They talk a little about they having internal things for setting reasoning, but it seems to not be possible to make it work together with the agent framework. In the same manner, so if you take something like DeepSeek via OpenRouter or one of the others that exposes DeepSeek, you can again set these reasoning efforts, but it seems to just ignore it and use its level of reasoning by itself. So it doesn't really seem you can do much more than the baseline on if you at least want to use the agent framework. So in summary of these 4 videos, reasoning is important. Too many people don't know why it's important. I don't want to make my users sit and wait for for the answer back. I don't want to spend more tokens than needed. So I really want to control it, especially because I'm using default OpenAI, and I really need to steer that with the minimal and low effort for most of the things, only bumping it up when I know it's really important. While if switching to Google, it sounds like I could have a much easier time by its new auto reasoning capabilities, which is really cool. From a technical perspective, Google seems to be ahead, and then comes OpenAI because it can follow the rules, and then Anthropic, in my mind, is behind on this in quality of reasoning. But that's everything from this mini-series. If you want to see more or have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. See you all.